All right, so this was a fan fiction idea that was voted on over on Patreon. As always, if you'd like to be part of those Patreon polls, as well as check out my reviews for Alien Earth and whatever theatrical movies I go check out, just hit the link in the description box below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the first tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started with the video. So, as you can see, I did a poll because I had read Avengers vs. Aliens and Alien Earth, the newest episode had come out. I was like, you know what, I want to do an Alien crossover. And I've just put out the poll, and this was the winner. Space Ghost versus Alien. Which, honestly, Dark Horse, like, if Alien was still under Dark Horse, and they were doing Dynamite books, if Dynamite was doing Space Ghost, or if it was still under DC, if Space Ghost was under DC Comics, I'm sure that was probably talked about at some point. But yeah, who knows? Maybe Marvel will be cool. And maybe not, because I doubt we'll see a Warner Brothers property and a Disney property together. Anyway, but we can dream, right? So hence why we have this crossover. So, Space Ghost versus Alien. So the story begins with Space Ghost and Jan and Jace rocketing to a nearby colony world that has fallen under it. It's fallen under attack. They said strange monsters have invaded our world, and we're getting massacred here. If anyone can hear us, we need your help. So of course, Space Ghost and his cadets rush to aid them, and they're already talking strange creatures. What could it be? And Space Ghost is like, well, if it's strange monsters, then it's obviously the work of the Creature King. But Jan brings up the point. Jan brings up a valid point of if it is the Creature King, what would he gain from attacking some colony world? There's no that planet. I researched it, and there's nothing of note there. There's no minerals or whatever. It's just a colony world. And Space Ghost is who knows what kind of evil the Creature King wishes to do on these people. But what I do know is that we will stop him, if it is him. Regardless, we're going to save these colonists. So, land the ship. When they arrive, they land the ship, and the colony, they head to the colony and find it is dead silent. And Space Ghost and his sidekicks are like, whatever did this, did it fast. Whatever kind of creatures they were, they moved fast. These things moved incredible. Whatever did this must have moved through the colony really fast. So let's see if we can find survivors. So as they're looking around, they're seeing claw marks, they're seeing blaster shots, and weird burn marks. They were is not just incendiary weapons. Some of these colonists were using flamethrowers, but also there looks like acid burns on the walls. So I'm tongue tied. So Space Ghost and Jan and Jace are they decide split up. Jan, Jace, you take Blip and go that way, and go head that way. I'm going to investigate this way, but stay alert and stay on comms constantly. So as they're looking around, Jan and Jace and Blip, they do discover a central headquarters. They go inside and discover this was a last stand against whatever it was, and everyone's just kind of panicked and whatnot, and they're just what the hell happened in here? This is where the last stand happened. And then that's when they see, the walls are, organic. There is, some kind of organic mesh around the walls. And they do see some of the colonists, stuck to the walls. And they're like, holy crap. Jace is like, Jan, call Space Ghost. I'm going to see if I can cut these people down. Meanwhile, Space Ghost is still looking around, and he finds the material as well. And he does find another colonist and some eggs on the ground. And one of which the colonist has a thing on his face, and he's like, I don't know what that is, but let's see if I can get it off. And then the face hugger tightens, and he's like, maybe not. We will cut this person. I'm not going to leave him here. And that's when he sees an egg, one of the eggs open up, and he's like, oh, that's not good. the facehugger jumps out at him. Space Ghost just blasts it, and that's when the other eggs start opening up as well, and more facehuggers crawl out trying to get to him, and he's just blasting them. He's even using his force field to like bounce them off. And that's when he gets Jan calling him, and Jan is just like, Space Ghost, come in. We found colonists, and we're trying to cut them there. He's like, I know, I found some too, but I'm also being attacked by some of these creatures. And that's when Space Ghost, during like fighting and killing the facehuggers, that's when he hears like this loud hiss behind him, and that's when he encounters a full-ass xenomorph. The xenomorph then proceeds to like launch itself at him. The force field barely holds against like the weight of it, as its tongue like comes out, tries to puncture the field, doesn't get it, and is slashing at him. Space Ghost blasts it, and that's when some of the acid blood splashes on him. It burns him, and he's like, oh, damn. I need to get the kids out of here and what colonists I can, because I'm pretty sure that's just a scout and the other ones are waking up. So, sure enough, there are more xenomorphs like slowly crawling out, and Jan, Jason, what colonists they can get, manage to get get back to the ship. They also do take the one who was facehugged. Thankfully, the facehugger does die, but you already know where this is going. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. So the xenomorphs, they do swarm the colony, but Space Ghost and his sidekicks do escape the planet, and he's like, well, at least they can't fly, but let's see if we can get these colonists to help. And that's when another ship shows up, and this ship immediately hails them, and it's the Creature King, as Space Ghost thought. And Space Ghost is already like pissed off because he's like, I knew you were behind this. And the Creature King is like, of course I was, Space Ghost, but now I need your help. And he's like, well, I'm not working with you. And he's like, do you have any of those colonists aboard? And he's like, yes, but you're not going to get them. He's like, you got to, like, Creature King is like, you have to kill them, Space Ghost. You have to get rid of those colonists now. There's no saving them. And Jan is like, no, we're not murderers and psychopaths like you. And the Creature King is like, you idiot child, there's no saving them. The parasite is already in them. Sure enough, they when Jace is trying to take care of them, and of course the colonists they do have, they just start shaking and convulsing, and then chestbuster. So Jace is like immediately almost mauled by one of the chestbusters. Space Ghost goes in, kills them immediately, and just goes back, and then is like, well, you got your wish, Creature King. They killed everything. The colonists are like, I tried to warn you, and he's like. Space Ghost basically says, like, what did you do? So the Creature King explains that not too long ago, he had basically traveled to a world that he had heard rumors of a deadly species, one of the most violent species in the galaxy. And Creature King is like, there is no creature I could best and rule. So the Creature King went to the planet with some of his slaves and monsters, and laid siege to a nest, and took a queen egg. But he saw firsthand that these xenomorphs were like the perfect thing to kill Space Ghost, and he was like, I was all ready to like have you die. Like these things were ready to kill you, and it seems like they almost did. And I tried to bend them to my will, and bend the queen to my will when I was properly bred. But there is no control. These things are these creatures are smarter than they appear. And soon they tried to overwhelm me. And he's like, well, they're contained on that planet for now. And Creature King is like, you don't understand. There are other colonies there, and I have some of my soldiers there left behind. So I propose a temporary alliance to save what colonists we can, and also my prizes. So Space Ghost is like, all right, we'll work together, but if you try to turn, if the moment you try to turn on me, Creature King, I'll leave you to those things. So now there's an alliance formed between Space Ghost and the Creature King. They go back down to the planet, and the xenomorph hive is actually grown. Like, these guys are moving at an exponential pace. So the first thing they need to do, like, Creature King basically reveals that he has a bomb that is going to release a type of plague that's going to kill the xenomorphs. So they have to detonate it in front of the queen. So Creature King brings Space. He and Space Ghost travel into where the nest is. They have to fight their way through xenomorphs left and right, and eventually they do encounter the queen, who is just kind of like sitting there looking at them. And the Creature King is like, hear me, queen, there is only room for a king, and reveals the bomb. And Space Ghost is like, we'll have to detonate it from afar. And Creature King is like, oh no, like, I was gonna, oh no, we don't have to do that here, because you're staying. And he proceeds to, like, zap Space Ghost in the back, and then proceed to, like, activate the bomb. And he's like, farewell, Space Ghost, I'll kill you and these things together. And he just takes off. So Space Ghost is wounded, and now xenomorphs are, like, closing in on him, when suddenly Jan and Jace arrive, and they fight back. They hold off the xenomorphs and get Space Ghost out of there as the bomb goes off and kills them. Space Ghost puts a force field around him and his sidekicks. They're shielded from the blast, but Creature King does get away, and Space Ghost is left haunted by them, because he's like, out of all the monsters I've seen in the galaxy, I never wish to see a horror like that again. Meanwhile, back with the Creature King, he's like, he figured out that, like, Space Ghost probably survived, but he's like, well, I'll get him next time. However, what he didn't realize is that while he had purged his ship of the creatures, there was one little egg that opened up, and now there's a facehugger skittering towards him. He's like, huh? Thing flies at him, and that, if this was a comic, that would be the end. So there you go, guys. That is Space Ghost versus Aliens. I want to thank everyone who voted on this Patreon poll. And yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Comment below. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the multiverse.